Na 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 moonlight, na 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 in the sky, na 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 you say, na 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 popcorn, na 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 moonlight, na 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 in the sky, na 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 you say, na 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 popcorn.
Hey, Slumpbusters! Welcome back. It is time for episode 9 of our Cobra Kai review series. I'm your host, Juju Talk Sports. This is C Money, and it is time to show no mercy towards this review as we get into one of the best episodes of the entire series. C Money, out the gate, episode 9. Initial thoughts.
Very solid episode. We're gonna know my rating later on, but very solid. We saw a lot of characters that they don't run into each other, but there's a lot of parallels between them that we didn't see coming. A lot of good moments, of great setup for the next episode. So it's a very, very solid episode. Tell me, what do you think, Julian?
Yeah, I'll start with like one of my favorite moments. You mentioned some unusual pairing stuff that don't really happen too often. This is the first episode that we actually had Daniel and Miguel talk.
Yes.
They've only had slight interactions, whether it be at the karate tournament or that one time when Johnny's cleaning up the dojo and Miguel walks in. And that was all the way back in episode 1 of season 1. So to have these two characters have some actual dialogue kind of tells you, man, if they were just talking from the start and Miguel introduced Miguel to her parents, what? They might have got along? What? Show over. Season 1 finale. Done. All the drama. Miguel doesn't get kicked off a roof.
Yeah, and then I remember you and I kept saying when we were reviewing season 1 that Sam is just a bad girlfriend. That if she was a good girlfriend, this wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, and it's funny whenever Daniel actually lays into her a little bit, just like, hey, I think you're just adding a little bit too much drama to your life. Going from Kyler to Miguel to Robby back to Miguel seems like a little bit much. And Sam's just lays it in there. Well, I'm still your daughter. You have to trust me. This is why I don't want daughters. This is like an ad for why not to have a daughter. This is it right there.
Right? And then especially since Daniel walks in on them with their makeout session, I'd be like, whoa, bro.
Yeah, that's the go-to move, right? Some play wrestling, some play karate. As Sam's mom alluded to, though, sometimes that could lead into a little extracurricular activity. Turns into an Anthony.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a good moment in there. Like I said, other unusual pairings. We get to see a lot of Robby and Hawk interaction in this one as Cris continues to blur the lines of what is appropriate, what kind of like that kind of loyalty aspect between Hawk and Cobra Kai. We'll talk about those staples that kind of get brought together. But seeing Robby and Hawk interact was interesting because the last 2 times these guys really like had a good interaction was during their fight in the All Valley.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. And then I think this was, like I mentioned before, this was the first episode where somebody actually got pissed off at Kyler and called him a moron. I think this was the first ever episode because everybody was afraid of him, and now Hawk is like, dude, like I'm the boss now.
Yeah, I'm not going to be afraid of Kyler after a certain line of dialogue that he happened to echo in this episode. Who wrote this? Who wrote this, guys? So at one point, again, Hawk is ripping into Kyler for being an idiot. And Kyler's defense was, sorry, man, my mind's all over the place. If I fail Treg this year, my dad's going to shit in my mouth. Are Asian parents that strict? Is that what I'm interpreting from that one?
I have heard that Asian parents are very strict. That's why their kids are super successful. But that's just a very weird line of dialogue.
Like, is Kyler's dad just threatening him like that? Does someone have to call Child Protective Services on this? Because shitting in your kid's mouth for failing trig seems a little harsh to me. It doesn't seem like my first punishment. I'd probably go for the belt first, but yeah.
Yeah.
That was worse than any Dimitri line we've gotten at this point.
So something tells me that the writers were like probably in a really long session, and they were just like, dude, we just need to finish this episode. Let's just make it epic. Let's just make it a good setup. But this line looks pretty good. Let's just move on.
I wonder if like someone's dad like said that exact phrase to them when they were growing up. Like, if you fail a trick, I'm gonna shit in your mouth.
And I bet the other writers were like, that is so weird, but let's write it in.
Yeah, that line was originally scheduled for Dimitri, but they had to change it to Kyler just for purposes of advancing the story.
They definitely wanted to make them a little bit cringe, for sure.
Now, even though we had that like questionable dialogue, we did have a lot of great dialogue. One scene in particular, of course, was that Miguel and Daniel scene where they were talking about some of the old Karate Kid stuff through the prism of Cobra Kai, kind of like the whole setup for this series. And that had a lot of good moments in it. But Johnny and Allie, Elizabeth Shue, she's back. There was a lot of questions whether or not she would actually make her return. I doubted it. But sure enough, you reassured me, and here she is.
Yeah, so with on the subject of Allie, I just want to commemorate everybody that worked on the show. Thank you for not leaking anything. You guys did amazingly with Hollywood nowadays. There's leaks all over the place. Like so many movies have leaked. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Quentin Tarantino's movie. See, like big names like that. Even their stuff has leaked. So thank you guys for keeping it hush hush. It was a great surprise.
I guess it always helps when Tom Holland isn't on your set.
Dude, he says too much. Oh, and Mark Ruffalo, remember he leaked the ending of Avengers Endgame and no one knew about it. Actually, Infinity War.
Guess he wasn't very smart Hulk back then. But Ellie and Johnny, so they start off, they have a little bit of a date going on. We start off in Elizabeth Shue's house, or Allie's house. I keep calling her Elizabeth Shue. Let's call her Allie. We start off in Allie's house, which mystery, like whose house is this? Big, rich, fancy house. Of course, we know Allie, she comes from wealth. And she messaged Johnny, a little bit of thirst in there. Oh, Johnny, I'm in town. Want to hang out? And sure enough, they meet up at a nice vegan establishment where Johnny tries to really show out. I know you like the little interaction between them in this moment.
I have no idea what Johnny tried ordering. When I heard that, I was like, I really need to find out what that is. And it could either be really good or really gross. Vegan food is a hit or miss for me. You know how it is.
Yeah, there's no in between with it. But they end up both taking the cheeseburger because Allie's just a really down-ass girl. Like, she's really fun. And it's amazing to think about this because when you watch the original Karate Kid, you just get a sense that these two characters hate each other. It doesn't seem like they were ever a couple. They just don't like each other. And to watch them interact here shows that they actually do got some chemistry. It shows that they do got a little bit in common, that they can relate with each other. And it actually makes sense that they were together at any point in their lives.
Yeah, in this whole episode, you start realizing that they both did get along. They have, even as adults, they have good chemistry. Like there's even parts of this episode that I'm just like, dang, like, what if Johnny could pull this off and get her back? Who knows?
Yeah. And that, for that very reason, this episode has me on pins and needles the entire course of it, because we start off in Johnny's storyline. He just finishes hanging out with Carmen. Obviously, they had their big moment at the end of the last episode, and they're talking about the future, them being together with Miguel. How did they break the news to him? And she's even saying like, hey, we'll meet up maybe like after I get off my work and everything like that. And then you just have this going on. My whole thing, watching other television series, other movies, how they create conflict, I was just picturing Carmen walking in on Allie and Johnny interacting in some way. Like when they're on the park bench and Johnny and her are looking at each other and like, Elizabeth's, oh, I wish I could stay with you and be all warm. And they're about to kiss. I'm like, okay, this is where Carmen just walks in right now, right? And
yeah, I'm with you on that one.
And it didn't happen. And there's still some potential open-ended stuff there because at one point, Johnny and Allie take a picture together. And I was thinking, because Johnny, he doesn't know Facebook and everything like that. Watch, somehow his like Facebook tag ends up on there. Carmen's on his Facebook and that's what's going to happen. I feel like that's still potentially a season 4 thing when you think about the chronology of the episode, where it lines in the timeline. But I guess that's the questions to be answered. Thankfully, at least in this episode, we didn't have some makeshift conflict between Allie, Carmen, and Johnny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like, it's like that movie. What is it? It's like that movie Crazy Stupid Love, where you didn't know that all the characters related, and then bam, it has that huge scene. I was expecting that the whole time. I just kept thinking, I don't want Johnny to mess it up with Carmen. Like, that's actually a good thing for him. I just kept thinking, nah, the writers can't do that. That might be drama for the next season, like you said. But right now, I was like, please don't let that happen. Please don't let that happen.
Yeah, him getting with Carmen was a lot of growth for his character. I feel as though him getting back with Ellie, in spite of that, would have been just total like a relapse for him. Even though him and Elizabeth Shue and him and Ellie had like that great chemistry, like I said, it would have been bad for the character of Johnny himself. With that said, golf and stuff looks like plenty of fun. And like, I guess if I'm ever in the LA area, I gotta take a girl out there, because there's just a constant theme throughout this entire series to this point, including in the Karate Kid series. We do get a coming together moment to close the episode between the Legacy of Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang Karate. They get together a little bit. We had some moments with Cris and Assface and Bert, and I forget the other kid's name, but they're kind of getting a little bit of a parent trap. I will say this, as shitty as Kyler's dialogue was earlier, I actually really like this line from Dimitri. This is ho horrible. I feel like I might start using that a little bit more. Even non-Christmas time, I feel like I could still use that. But so they get together to talk about it, like, hey, we got to unite against Cobra Kai. You had this moment too where Cobra Kai is kind of doing the same thing. Obviously, we talked about Cris recruiting Robby earlier, and like the bands are starting to get together. We really start seeing these factions start to align heading into the last episode.
Yeah, it's definitely a really good, solid episode. A lot of interactions that we didn't see, and of course, like my favorite is Miguel and Daniel finally talking. And then I thought it was so funny how they were exchanging stories. Like Miguel was like, oh, well, Sensei told me this, and Daniel's like, oh, that did not happen like that. It happened like this.
I guess it just, again, shows the whole point of the series to say everyone has their own story. Everyone's the hero of their own story. But all right, will we be the hero of the review series by giving this one a positive note? We will. I'm going to give this one a home run out the gate. That is my rating for it.
I'm going to give this one a home run too. A very solid episode. I just can't wait till we do the next episode. The next episode it's amazing.
Well, if you want to hear our thoughts about the last episode, definitely subscribe to our channel. Show no mercy, that subscribe button. Leave a like on this video if you agree that this was one of the better ones out there. And comment below some of your favorite moments, because there's a lot of stuff going on here. We want to know what some of your favorite scenes are. If you dislike this video, though, Kyler's dad will shit in your mouth.